그래서
Oh,
뭐야 다요 드링 안 좋다니 다 나도 좋다니 무슨 야보테 멀리 야보테라더니 내가 다니 가르쳐 그래 아까 사람 노진이더니 소노 간디스도 그래 아지 간디스도 그래 다니 나로 솔라 디게 니반다고 가르카리와레 사고 사라와스 오다테테스
so today, as usual in this series, I'd like to give a little bit of advice about our life, what we should do when we have achieved this precious human body, the kind of things that we can achieve, and how to be able to think and practice in order to achieve those things. So I will give some advice regarding that.
오다 대요 소리도 소리 삼바서 당하로 설마 칼라 또 지하고 살아와 살레비 가침보 오다 야 가르세 가래 오다 네스 가르수루 야르세나 쇼또 다 너와 세제 유조 좋아 오가 이모서 줘봐 다 메유조 강가로로로 타위지 손지 셈베리 손지그리 차통을 요아레스 내가 요아레스 이나요 근데 그리데 아 세발라 아니 같이 시도 돼서나 아니 대지 강가로로 세야를 테니 거기까지
So one piece that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, one piece of advice that the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas have passed on to us is the following, that all sentient beings, without exception, and certainly all human beings, without exception, possess vast potentials. The Buddha nature, potential for Buddhahood, the potential for bodhicitta, the potential for liberation, and so forth. However, if we want to activate those potentials, there are 4 obstacles that can block that we need to pay attention to. So because these positive seeds or these potentials are so important, so incredible, then in order to be able to activate these potentials, we need to be aware of the 4 obstacles that block their activation. So in the last video, I spoke a little bit about the first of these 4 obstacles. And the first of these 4 obstacles involves not having enough to eat, not having enough to drink, not having sufficient housing, and so forth. And this is a big obstacle because if we do not have sufficiently these things, then all of our energy, we have to completely invest our energy and attention in securing those, and then we can't activate our potential. And so that first obstacle, that is a problem that likely most of us are without. If we're fortunate, we are without that problem of having enough to eat and drink and so forth. And in terms of the second obstacle to the activation of our potential, what is this second obstacle? It is being under the power or control of kings and so forth. So in the past, this would mean that one was almost enslaved or an indentured servant, and one would have to spend one's lifetime under the control of a king and so forth. And these days, perhaps there are not as many kings and lords, but certainly there are people who are sometimes under the control of others, and they have to spend their entire life serving those people. So, of course, many of us have to work for a living, and we have people that we answer to, but my feeling is that it's not the obstacle in the fullest sense, because we are not completely under control of these people and we are not completely without opportunity for our own endeavors.
하고서로 다요 리스바테 바치 스바테 하고서로 로타 타비리 세발라 존지스빙한 노지니까 베제도요 타비리 세바도 존지스미리 세바 손지리 세바 강갈자 집어서는 또 나도
And now I'd like to speak about the third obstacle to activating our potential. And let me just specify that when I speak about activating our potential, or sometimes it's translated as activating the lineage, I am speaking about activating the potential for liberation from samsara. I am speaking about activating the potential for bodhicitta, the mind of awakening. And I am speaking about activating the potential of the Buddha nature, or the capacity to achieve Buddhahood.
하고서로 다 되는데 근데 되래 다 바치 스바테 하고서로 땅으로서 멋지게 노는 만다 뭐시바나 만나 뭐지요 와스 자자 첨보지 마잖아 손손 종년 봐 니주지 삼바
So then, back to the third of these four obstacles. So in our life, there are many people that we know. We'll have many acquaintances. And if we are not careful, we can fall into this third type of obstacle, which is coming under the influence of harmful friends. So that's number 3, coming under the influence of harmful friends.
하고서로 다 생존복쇼를 치는 가보면게 세성방년바 생년바 가데이나 뭐겨와라가 또 정도 거대기 리더니 슈나 이쇼를 치소나 아니 디비투볼 뭔가 치고요.
So when I speak about harmful friends, I mean these are people who are not kind. In fact, they may look down on kindness. They are people who have negative minds and ways of thinking. They're people engaged in negativity and who influence others to engage in negative activities.
하고서로 다 라마송 그승고 야레스 디비투보 세다데 라고지 할레비싱은 자고지는 거 말레스 델레는 또 안절로서 델라테니 파리진 거 추고스 대용 거 말레스 디비투보 세고 게무치치 저네들이 칼칼 친도 그레스.
So the great masters, the lamas, say that harmful friends, it's not as if they have horns on their head. If they had horns on their head, then it would be very easy for us to spot them. But in fact, these harmful friends, they will deceive us with smiles and laughter.
하고서로 다 뭐야가지 이나요 덤보리 달로요 야고 가지도도 야고 제기지 이나요 마 디절을 튀어야 돼 알레비 내라고 하고서로 쳐 틀은로 뭐지가 내라고 지가 사자마잖아.
It is said that if one is not careful, even for a good person who studies and practices well, it is easy for them to be influenced or guided in the wrong direction by harmful friends. It is said to be as easy as water going downstream on a mountain.
하고서로 다 뭐도 야보 마이크세거를 다 야보 찔러 티발라 하고서로 돌라리와 도도도치야 돌라리와 티만 미치야 하고서로
And from the other side of the equation, it is said that on the other hand, for a negative person to be inclined by positive friends to a better direction, this is as difficult as trying to roll a boulder up that same mountain.
하고서로 다된 안좀 맞는라 다시 저도 다시 쇼하고 야를 관계 하고서로 다 디비투 보세요. 다 쪼쪼 되는 디비투 보세요. 다는 좀 걸리는 생길을 내가 시킨 이거와 뭐 부지고도 왔어. 다 대지티도 쪼더래. 이나요. 다 란디 타서 주고 왔어.
Yeah. Yangarsun.
란디 타송.
Radri Tapsumsana.
야 디비투 보 쳔보
Jing Ale. Yeah. So then, of course, we can see in our life, in our own circle, whether we have these harmful friends or not. Of course, in the absolute sense, if we talk about a harmful friend, it's somebody who's really influencing us to do harm or violence to others. So, for example, if we fall under the influence of terrorists and so forth. However, this is, the most sort of absolute extreme example, and we could propose different levels of harmful friends: slightly harmful, middling harmful, and greatly harmful friends.
하고서로 다 맞춰 야보 쳐야 되나 출라도게 하고서로 세계 이슈를 다 치는 마tin mageisul chunchol tindoke tendishuna ta sasachi.
So these are people who would have us kind of waste our lives, waste the opportunity of our lives. Instead of leading us in a virtuous direction, they will always be influencing us towards a non-virtuous direction. So we must be very careful.
하고 살아와서 어다 대서 대 당한서 시험 가르쳐가 그게 할레비 슈체고 매반다고 지레스 스스스다지잖아.
So the first three of these four Geshe said, if we're careful, if we're careful and plan a little bit, probably we don't need to come under the first three of these obstacles too strongly.
하고 살아와 다 깔래 가셔서나 뭐 당한서 시와테 깔래 가셔드레스 나치나. 하고 살아와 시와테 깔래 가셔 반디스레 잘라바이나 녀몬벌라 공바시 쳬와.
So, in my view, the fourth one is the one that is the most difficult in terms of these four obstacles to activating our potential. And why is it difficult? Because number 4 is strong habituation to the afflictive emotions. Strong habituation to the afflictions.
하고 살아와서 어다 땡간서 강가 몬치한테 다 하고 살아와서 어다 보게 원래 따따 지키지미나 저 동마매반에 걸로 나도 하고 요 말이야 막 녀몬벌라 공바시 요 이자 될라 때니 샌들이나요. 바샤르 길라고 치세야 그게 내가 중요해요.
And that's because all of us have these afflictions in one way or another. Unless we've reached a very kind of stable level of practice, this is going to be a problem for us. Why are we so habituated to these afflictions? Because from previous lifetimes, our countless previous lifetimes until the present, we have been in this pattern of the afflictive emotions. And so there are many imprints for these afflictions within our mind that are easily activated.
하고 살아와서 어다 손진이 주듯이 도마간게 지바래 하고 살아와 어다 녀몬발라 공바시 쳐와 녀모 또 슈치모 뭐 가려용 것도 슈치와 가려용 것도 소설 내가 리드 셀 내가 또 녀모 가르치게 될또 진짜 녀모 야 가시고 에스 녀모는 녀모 따와와.
So then Buddha Shakyamuni and the other holy beings, how did they advise us to proceed with dealing with this problem? Well, the first step is to identify our major affliction first. So this is the afflictive emotion that is the strongest within our mind. It is the one that is arising most frequently and harming our body and mind to the greatest degree. And so having identified that, we have to apply the appropriate antidote to our most prevalent affliction.
하고 살아와서 어다 타비 리세발라 바치시 존재sem비 리세발라 바치시 손지기 리세발라 바치시 나로서 대화 유약 대화 땡보치 유약 다 바치 주조래 와스 대 따따 중에서나 근데 오 소설 가르치체가 만두 어다 따지지 거가 침보치 와스.
So then just to go back to the discussion in general, these are the 4 obstacles to activating the potential. So activating the potential for liberation, activating the potential for bodhicitta, activating the potential for Buddhahood. And it is through activating these potentials that we are able to achieve a stable happiness. So these are in fact obstacles to our happiness. So we need to identify which of these obstacles are present for us, and if possible, we need to take measures to reduce or eliminate that obstacle.
하고 살아와서 어쩌 됐더니 바지 시대 하고 살아 파파 투매 그랬더니 수말에 하고 살아와 슈로 지지에 돈 많이 예워수가 아래 대이자 당으로서 하고 살아 송견의 주대 수가 기바이자 어따 대소속 셀난 당아 리세비 바지 시대 슈치 없는데 소속을 내가 전에 제토건데 소속을 타버리 되는 야본데 송지거리 되는 야본데 또와 첨보도 되면은 바보 첨보도 되면은 되니 다 많이 냐마다와다 소속 요ar도 돼야 같이 말해스.
So then, in terms of the lineage of the instructions about these 4 obstacles to the activation of our potential, these come from the great Arya Asanga. And they are written in a beautiful verse, and they are sourced in the Buddha's instructions. So we can have confidence in this instruction. And in terms of the 4 obstacles themselves, we should see that actually these are something that we can definitely deal with. If we reduce these obstacles, then we can definitely activate our potential. We can activate our potential for liberation. We can activate our potential for Buddhahood. And slowly, gradually, from month to month, year to year, we can improve and draw closer to our aim.
어다 가딜리나 가도 기점 뭐시기 요아리시 차와레스 하고 살아와서 어다 로주시아 이나레 검자야를 제곤 누고선에 뜨니 요아레 가지 더 소소소소 tum다고 지내라 내가 제마토나 아니 가디나 때문에 레로군 것도
And I've mentioned this before, I've spoken a lot before that in terms of our cultivation, in terms of our study of the teachings, in terms of our meditation, both our analytical and our placement meditation, we need to establish positive habits using rules for ourselves, establishing boundaries for ourselves, because without those rules and boundaries to motivate us, then laziness will get the better of us and it will be an obstacle to our cultivation.
아까 살아 손sol로요 보게 다 바치라 세나면도 바치 들라 때는 셀스 세치 차ян다 오다 용금도 템보 용금도 손서 들리래 비칼라 야시 치모 쇼알라 수마노 고나 라와 만지 닌데 고야마 이 사대지 시스템 마시네라 아까 살아 와서 어다른 원이 봐야 체르도
And perhaps sometimes when we are enduring difficult moments, our mind becomes discouraged and we think, oh, I can't really do this. I'm not really able to practice properly. If we experience this kind of discouragement, it's very useful to contemplate a verse from the son of the conqueror Shantideva. And Shantideva said that there is nothing that does not become easier through the power of familiarity. There is nothing that does not become easier through the power of habituation.
하고 살아와서 다 저도 간nen데 뭐 이늘에 꼬란도와 이늘에 가르치나요다 하고 살아 어다 개와 야부 들어왔어 이나요 또또때 녀목이 녀목 만도나 소소기 질 내저 공조 아자 파도 녀목 다 잡아들이고 야래 녀목 추 잡아들이고 야래 대르지 가지 때 내가 제마토나 드네 온치는 로만도
Then also in terms of the various kind of spiritual practices that we engage in, whether we are reciting our prayers, whether we are circumambulating holy objects and so forth. These are generally, of course, virtuous actions. However, if we are not applying them in a way that are antidotes to our afflictions such as anger, jealousy, pride, attachment, and so forth, if we are not really making sure that we aim those practices and as an antidote to those afflictions, then there could be a doubt as to whether those activities are the practice of Dharma or not. So then perhaps many have heard this story, but I am recollecting a story about the reflections of a Lama who had spent many years in retreat, and he saw that all of the various practices and so forth that he had been cultivating were not really acting as an antidote to the afflictions. Now, whether this was the case or he was manifesting this as an instruction, we can't say, but it's very instructive nonetheless. He said that, all of those years in retreat, because this was not becoming an antidote for the afflictions, rather than attaining realization by reciting the mantras, all I accomplished by reciting the mantras was wearing away the fingernail of my thumb. So thank you very much. So having contemplated these instructions, then please recognize the power of your mind, the positive potentials within yourself. Remember what these 4 obstacles to actualizing those potentials are, and practice accordingly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, teacher.
Okay, thank you. We shall end here.